What's up, Trojan? Giants are back winning football games. It was just nice to win one again. No matter how close the Giants were to losing it, it was just so nice to win a football game again. The Giants, they started off pretty strong. I mean, the defense stood up all game, and the Giants, they were having some issues with the offense. They started to get things really going, put up 14 points, nice and easy. And then things started to get stressful, would be the best way to put it. Bad things started to happen. Ultimately, the Giants were able to overcome all the mistakes and end up with a win. It's a weird game to take things away from. You're going up against a division rival. The Giants just seem to always find a way to beat Washington, whatever they decide to call themselves this year. But the Giants, they normally beat Washington, and they still were able to come out on top no matter how many mistakes they made. Washington made a lot of mistakes too. If Washington had just, made a couple more throws, had a couple less penalties, done a few things differently, they would have won too, but that's the case in any NFL football game. It was a tight battle, way closer than it should have been, because the Giants were up like 14-0, about to run away with it, dropped interceptions from the Giants. Howell had a lot of terrible passes that he should have been severely punished for. But the Giants weren't quite able to start a pick frenzy. And then you go over to the Giants' turnovers. I mean, you had the Sterling Shepard muffed punt, and then you had the Saquon. I don't think Saquon actually fumbled, but they ruled it a turnover, and apparently on 1,000 cameras, they couldn't get, a good angle. Because every single angle they showed, it was like, all right, Saquon's down here, but where's the ball? Okay, Saquon has the ball here, but is he down yet? Okay, Saquon doesn't have the ball here, so that's a fumble, I guess. It's like, I don't know why there isn't, enough cameras that could correlate. I didn't see any real evidence that he actually did fumble that ball. But there also wasn't any evidence that he didn't fumble the ball because they never showed a good angle. So they ruled it a fumble, and, that's when things started to get interesting. But ultimately, the defense was able to hold up enough and come out with the win. And the defense was the story of the game here. That defense just held up all game. I mean, the only points Washington got were off that muffed punt, and that's because they started, right there, knocking on the door of a touchdown, so they were able to get it. Giving up that fourth down wasn't nice. The coverage could have been better at times, but the corners played great. Xavier McKinney over the top at safety was so-so. There around, just, I don't know, a pick or something would have been nice. The main play I look at when I'm like, I don't know if McKinney did that well was they called a penalty on him for defenseless receiver or something. He hit the guy as he was catching the I don't see how it's a defenseless receiver. You dive to catch a ball. You get hit while diving. Are you not allowed to make a play trying to get the ball yourself? Because that's all he did. It's not like he pounded his helmet or anything. It was a horrible call. But you get a call for a weak, touch, barely touching him with his gut. It was like a gut to shoulder pad. It was the softest way you can touch someone in the NFL. But you get a play like that. Then a similar play happened on the left side. And so McKinney, barely tapped McLaurin that time. Didn't even try to stop the catch. Nothing. Just, left him. When he could have attempted to make a play again. And that's the problem with, having terrible penalty calls in the NFL. Early in a game like that is it affects things later. But the defense was really good overall. A lot of pressures. Oh, the defensive line was great. I want to highlight Dexter Lawrence here especially. He was eating blocks when he wasn't eating 10 blocks at a time. He was getting all up in the face of Howell, the Washington quarterback. It felt like he was back there every play. Just right up the middle. Him and Williams, too. Leonard Williams had that blocked field goal. He was getting back there, too. The Giants' defensive line was having a sack party today. It was just great to see. I was loving every second of that. But that was more in the first three quarters. It got down to it, and the sacks kind of disappeared at some point, and that was a real shame because that was fun to see. It was so fun to see the other team's offensive line collapse in 1 second instead of ours. Now, ours was collapsing in 1.5 seconds. but it was better than Washington's today. That was great. It was looking like a fun, relaxing game to watch as a Giants fan, but yeah, that Sterling Shepard muffed punt really messed things up, and it's like I don't even really want to blame Sterling Shepard. Like you can't do that. You can't mess up a punt like that. Like that's on him. He knows it's on him. You can't just do that. But I don't think he was doing any special teams training for that. I think they were just like, hey, you've returned a punt before in your life, right? Yeah, go out there. It'll be fine. Because the other returner muffed a punt and a teammate had to recover it and then got injured. So then Sterling Shepard comes in. Sterling Shepard's more of, just a sure-handed slot wide receiver. He wasn't really ready to be back there returning punts. I thought he was doing an all right job, and then, terrible at the time of muffing that punt, losing it, and giving up to Washington for their only points of the day because of how great the Giants' defense played. And this is a string of good defensive performances now from the Giants. This defense is looking really good, and I hope they just keep it moving. Just keep it moving. Maybe get things going in the interception department more because the sack department was going great today. I'd like to see a couple more interceptions. Kayvon Thibodeau had a shot at a pick six. Couldn't quite reel it in. He was like trying to like catch it like a punt. Not the way to do it. The pick they did get, Deonte Banks, who I thought was great today overall against McLaurin. Because that's Washington's number one guy, and Banks made him look like a normal wide receiver today. But that one pick that he got there, it was a slightly underthrown ball. He was able to get it, pick it, but then he turned around, and he did not know what to do with that thing, so he just stepped out of bounds. He's like, yeah, just give me the interception. I don't want to look terrible on film. But the Giants need to do a lot of training in these things. Like, okay, more catching drills for the defenders, more, apparently punt returning drills for the wide receiver, because you never would know when you're going to be subbed in to do a punt return. I wouldn't do anything extra with Saquon Barkley's quote-unquote fumble, because he was, like, basically on the ground. He was still holding the ball, and then you just had every single Washington player just trying to hammer that thing out, and one of them got it. That's just one of those things that's going to happen. Not like every guy was there, but, you're going on the ground. You got one guy here, another guy there, one guy going right at the ball, another guy coming from the other side. It's a tough situation to be in, but there needs to be a lot of, like, sort of fundamentals training for, like, all the Giants players, because you never know when you're going to find yourself in these situations. You never know when you're going to be a defensive end trying to do a pick six. You never know when you're going to be a wide receiver coming in as a punt returner. Slayton did all right. I think he had a very nice fair catch. That's apparently all we can get out of a Giants punt returner now, instead of any maneuvers and a nice return. Is just, oh, you caught the ball? All right, good. Whew. That was it. I don't know why the Giants decided to make this the most stressful game of the season, but they did. And ultimately they came out on top, so that's what matters. And looking forward to a next string of games because, if the Giants that showed up in the first half of this game, which is a weird statement considering how the Giants have been in first halves the rest of the year, if the Giants that showed up in the first half can show up in all the games, or even that defense all game, just able to close it out. Even the drive Washington needed to win, like, the Giants were stopping them and making Washington earn every single yard. That defense was looking good. And the offense, what they need to do is, like, just be a bit more consistent. Tyrod was looking good in the first half. That offense was clicking. You look at plays like the long Saquon touchdown. They were doing some good stuff with Darren Waller there and then kind of walked away from that. A bunch of deep passes to Jalen Hyatt. That's great. But in between that, what do you get? You get like the 1 yard runs from Saquon. You get incomplete passes. A lot of bad stuff happened. And most of it was the result of the offensive line collapsing in 1.5 seconds. But you got to find a way to work around that. Washington started to. They started rolling Howell out because he was taking, like, too many pressures and too many hits in the pocket, too many sacks. They were trying to work around that. Maybe the Giants should consider doing some stuff like that. I don't know what the answer is, But, since Tyrod Taylor has now won as many games this season as Daniel Jones, it's I'm sure going to start a debate between Tyrod and Daniel Jones. Like, should we even let Daniel Jones come back in as the starter? And it's close for me, actually, because Tyrod's done a lot of things better than Daniel Jones. I think he's done a lot better this season at reading the defense. I know he had that bad decision over in Buffalo about, switching to a run at the goal line that really ended up costing the Giants the game. But today he had one excellent alert where he did that, switched the play, and then just ran up the middle for 15 yards. I think that was on one of the touchdown drives even. So you get stuff like that, that's really good. I think Tyrod's better at scrambling. He's way better at sensing pressure and moving from it. He did one thing great today. I mean, he still, I think, got sacked on this play. But someone was coming up behind him, and he dodged the guy, and then unfortunately someone else hit him. But if the other guy wasn't coming, he would have just cleanly gotten out of it. Did a lot of good stuff like that today. Tyrod's all right. And Jones just, hasn't been the same way he was last season most of this year. And, only really the second half of the Cardinals game. The Giants offense needs to figure some stuff out. A healthy offensive line would help, but, even the way some of the starters have played at times, it's like, yay, that guy's coming back. Wonderful. Giants offensive line, could be better. That would help out a lot. It's just, I don't know what it is with the offense. It's very inconsistent. They got to find a way to just be better. I don't know. Maybe a couple more deep passes. I felt like that was definitely helping out a lot. They were looking kind of stagnant. They hit one deep pass to Hyatt. The offense opened up for a few drives and looked great. That's how the Giants put up 14 points. More of that. Some more stuff with Darren Waller on the crossing routes. I feel like them going away from that messes things up. And if possible, just more stuff where you get the quarterback involved aside from being a pocket passer. Felt like a lot of the good plays in the Giants offense actually are moving Tyrod around. Like I mentioned before, that play where he just ran up the middle for a first down. And just having him be able to move around, do stuff on the run, a rollout, I think that would help out the offense a lot. On the defense, keep doing what you're doing. Defense is great. The special teams needs a lot of work, except for the punter. Gano missed a field goal today even, so, room to improve there. Yeah, I mean, it was windy. It was definitely windy. I think that was affecting the punt returning and the field goals, but you got to make some of those. You got to adjust. It's your one job at in those moments. Giants got to get some stuff in order, and they can figure some things out and really go on a run here. I'm hopeful they can do it. It's going to be a long road ahead because 2-5 is not a good start to a season if they're looking to have a decent year, but I'm hopeful for it. Get some stuff rolling and see what happens. I don't know. I'm just excited the Giants got to win today. Then one last thing, though. For punt returner, whoever the Giants decide this guy to be, just find someone and put him back there. Have them do a ton of punt returning drills in practice and just make that guy the punt returner. Whether it be Shepard, whether it be Slayton, whoever it is, just make it one guy. Because moving guys in and out of that, I feel like, is what's causing all of those issues. Make it a guy, get some of the other fundamentals right on defense, and be looking good. I thought that defense played great today. Like I said, the only thing I say could be improved upon is the coverage, but overall it was really good. The Giants were just slightly better. This game's 28-0, if not more. The Giants were dominating, and to make it come close to 7-14, it's not really what it should have been, but it's what the Giants do at times, especially against Washington. They always like to make sure it's a very close and stressful game. I don't know, and it'll be interesting because Dable and Tyrod seem to have some good stuff going. I think you go back to last season with the Titans game, Daniel Jones made a horrible interception, horrible throw that was an interception in the end zone. You know, it should have been a go-ahead touchdown situation. Instead, it was an interception. Dable chewed him out, and then he was able to come back out there, play much better. Giants ended up beating the Titans. I think just some of the decisions Tyrod made in Buffalo were sort of like that. Dable chewed him out, and he's been looking a bit better. I thought Tyrod overall played good today. It's sad to say, like, good is, like, really Giants standard excellent, but, yeah, he was all right. And, you know, it's going to start a real debate between him and Daniel Jones because, you know, we're really out here, like, is this guy more mid? Like, is this guy at least average? Is this an average quarterback? No, I feel like that guy's more of an average quarterback. Like, we're not out here comparing Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen as our two quarterbacks. Like, it's like, is this guy able to throw a ball in the NFL, or is this guy able to do it slightly better? Like, which guy? I don't know. I think a good O-line would help both of them, but it's going to be interesting. I don't know what's going to happen with that, because you figure Jones is going to be able to go at some point, and it's going to spark a discussion, especially since the Giants won. You know, it's going to make Tyrod look really good. And I'm really glad the Giants did end up pulling out and not doing something stupid and messing up, because Shepard would have gotten chewed out bad. Saquon, I felt like, was already about to get it. Just because, you know, he had some slow runs. But I thought Saquon was great today. That fumble is definitely not on him. Tyrod, good. Offensive line still improving. You know, very injured. You know, they're doing their best. Expect maybe wide receivers to do some more things, some more run after the catch, but whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Overall, good performance by the Giants. Could have been a lot better. Clean up some mistakes. Defense still great. Defensive line's great. And see if we can go on a streak. The Jets are up next. Win that, and 3-5 is not a terrible record. I don't know. See you guys in the next one.